My son Stephen was a 19-year-old pilot in the RAF. During his flying training he developed some strange symptoms, ringing in his ear and pins and needles in his arm, and it turned out to be a brain tumour in the end. I think one of the first things that struck us was that the sort of treatment options were really very limited, that he was whisked off for surgery within a few days of the diagnosis. And so at the age of 19, he was told, the tumour will come back, it will grow and turn more aggressive and it will kill you. And he was told he got 5 to 7 years to live.
There are around 120 different sorts of brain tumours. The main problem is that the brain is obviously surrounded by a rigid box, the skull. The mainstay of treatment, and the thing that is likely in the long term to be curative, is chemotherapy. The problem with that is that the brain is highly protected from the rest of the body by something called the blood-brain barrier. That means that only certain sorts of drugs, very small drugs, can actually get into the brain and be effective. So we're taking a sort of twofold approach of looking at new targets specific for brain tumours and also repurposing drugs for these tumours.
So these labs were opened about a year ago. They're part of a large investment that the university has made in scientific teaching and research. We've been doing a huge programme of molecular profiling where we look at the whole of the genome of the tumour and look for specific changes which can be targeted either by drugs that are already used for maybe different types of cancer or even different diseases, so-called repurposing, or whether we can actually develop and make new drugs which specifically target those molecular aberrations.
I've been working with the Brain Tumour Research Centre for 4 years. My research focused on understanding the mechanisms of brain tumour development in children so that we can target these pathways with specific drugs without affecting the normal cells in the brain. So this particular drug that we're working with is in phase 3 clinical trials for a different tumour type in adults. So this gives a lot of hope and confidence that this drug could be effective in children too.
I've been working at the Brain Tumour Centre for almost 3 years now. My research is focusing primarily on a drug called metformin. The important thing about using metformin rather than developing a new treatment is the amount of time it would take to get it into the patient's hands. If we can find it useful to be used on brain tumour sufferers, it would be much faster that we can actually implement it as a treatment for patients.
The work that goes on here is significant. I want to make sure that ultimately this helps improve survival rates for patients and for their families. It's hugely beneficial. It's very much the case that where investment is put into research, sort of outcomes are improved. And I think it's very important that there is investment into the facilities that, that exist here at a place like Wolverhampton.